right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. Hello, I'm Gill at engVid, and today's lesson is on the Northern UK accent, and we've used as our example a programme called Game of Thrones, and you may be a big fan of this programme. I think it's very popular, but if you're not, if you've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones, then just to explain that it's a historical medieval fantasy about power struggles mostly, hence the throne in the title. And we're looking today at one episode which comes from Series 3, Episode 7, which shows two of the characters, Jon Snow and Ygritte, a young man and a young woman, walking through the countryside, and they're going off to fight somewhere. So they're having a conversation on the way. So we've taken some of the words that they say during their conversations to look at how they pronounce them. So they're both speaking in a northern UK accent, which is around the sort of Yorkshire, Lancashire area, about 200 miles north of London. But the actors themselves are not northern. They are performing in a northern accent, so it's possible to learn different accents. The actress actually comes from Scotland, but she speaks in normal life, in her real life, she speaks with a southern London, quite a cultured London accent. Whereas the actor, the male actor who plays Jon Snow, he's from the London area and he speaks with a London accent. So they are both speaking with accents that they don't normally speak. But anyway, we're going to look at some of the words from that episode today, and I will demonstrate how they're pronounced compared with the standard RP, received pronunciation, southern way of saying the words. Okay, so right, so the idea with the northern UK accent, it fits the medieval fantasy type of programme more probably than the southern accent, because it has a sort of historical feel to it. It sounds strong. The people who speak that way sound very strong. And this word gritty, grit is little pieces of stone. So if you think of stone, it's very hard and tough. It's hard to break. So if somebody is gritty, they're quite strong and tough. So the northern accent has this strong, tough, gritty feel to it. So it fits with a historical drama where people are living quite difficult lives, and they haven't got central heating, for example, and they haven't got electricity. So life is hard. Okay, so, okay, let's have a look at some of the vowel sounds which are different from the southern. So, first of all, these examples in sort of southern RP, what we call RP, received pronunciation, these would be pronounced snow, won't, don't, no, road. So it's the O sound, just an O sound. But in the northern accent that's used in the programme, it's much broader. It's snow and won't, don't, no, road. It's like that, okay? So maybe you'd like to try repeating after me. Snow, won't, don't, no, road. So you have to really push your mouth forward and make it quite dark and heavy sounding, okay? So that's the O sound, or the O sound, okay? It's a bit longer, you hold it on for longer as well. Right, next one. These words would, in RP, would be blood, love, drums, and come, as in come on, let's go, come. But, so it's a sort of sound, but in the northern accent it's blood and love, drums, come. So again it's much darker and or pushing your mouth forward again. So perhaps you'd like to repeat after me again. So blood, love, drums, come on. So I hope you know all these words. Drums, things that you hit, an musical instrument, percussion instrument, bang, 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 bang. Drums, which are used in military, marches and so on, for people to march along to, because they give a strong rhythm. So drums, come on, okay. Next one, in the south, people would say save, make, lady, brave, day. So it's a bit like A, like that. But again, in the northern accent, it's a longer sound, and it's save, make, lady, brave, day. So it's much sort of wider and again longer and darker. You make the sound a bit darker as well. So would you like to repeat after me? Save, make, lady, brave, day. Okay, brave means strong and courageous. You're not afraid of anything. Okay, if you're brave, and you're really brave if you're from the north, gritty and strong and brave. Okay, so that's that one. This little word you, it depends what part of the sentence it comes in, but if it's towards the end, it can often be shortened. So it might just sound like yeah. I've spelt it two different ways here to try to suggest the pronunciation. Yeah, instead of you, just yeah. So perhaps you'd like to repeat after me. Yeah. Okay then. Next one. In the southern accent, right. This is my right hand. This is my left, right. Okay. But again, the I of right, it gets longer in the northern accent. And also, the T isn't always pronounced. So you get something like this. Right. So you make your mouth very wide, like that. Right. And instead of making the T sound, it's called the glottal stop. You may have heard of this before. And that is something that happens in your throat. So instead of making the T sound in your mouth, you're sort of making a catching sound in your throat. So right, it's something down there. So right. Would you like to repeat after me? Right. Okay, so you just stop yourself making the T sound and catch something in your throat instead. And this one, that. Again, the final T can be missed off, but also the A sound is a little bit wider. That in the south, but a bit wider, like that. So again, a big wide mouth. I sort of imagine it as almost a square shape, that. As square as you can get it. Like right, that. So it makes your face probably look a bit strange because you're making shapes you perhaps haven't made before. Okay, so that's that one. If you'd like to say the word after me, that. Okay, and the same with land, in the south, land, but the same vowel sound as in that, land. It's much wider, land. Do you want to repeat after me? Land. Okay. And then the final example of what happens is words ending ing, where we would say in the south anything, fighting, training. First of all, we have a T missing again here, the glottal stop again, and the G sound is missed off, so anything, and fighting, and training. Okay, do you want to repeat? Anything, fighting, training. Okay, so those are some of the vowel sounds and some of the other things that happen, like the glottal stop, missing T and the missing G. So let's now have a look at some of the phrases that are used in the dialogue in the episode, which also include these words, to get a longer line that's said by the actors, so that it if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, you will probably recognise these lines. So this is something that Ygritte, the woman, says to Jon Snow, the man, as they're walking along. You know nothing, Jon Snow. You know nothing, Jon Snow. So no and snow are the same vowel sound. Nothing. Instead of you know nothing, Jon Snow, which sounds much too civilised and modern. You know nothing, Jon Snow. Okay, so do you want to repeat after me or with me? You know nothing, Jon Snow. Okay, and then similar, you don't know. So the same vowel sound again, you don't know. Okay, right, just repeat when I've done it, okay. Then, I don't know whether it's him, I think Jon Snow says this to Ygritte this time, I'm not sure, but somebody says, you don't have the training, but they say it, you don't have the training. You don't have the training. Repeat. You don't have the training. Okay. And then they're talking about marching along when they're in an army and somebody's banging the drums to give a good rhythm for people marching. So somebody says, not banging the drums, but banging the drums. And the G, instead of banging, as we would say in the South, banging, you'd get a G sound in both places, banging. It's bangin, so the hard G sound here, and then the G is missed at the end. And then drums, bangin the drums. Do you want to repeat that after me? Bangin the drums. Okay. Oh, and then this is where Ygritte, she's being a bit sarcastic about the drums. So it helps you to put your left foot down and then your right foot down, does it? That's clever. So right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. But the way she says it, she misses the T off the end, so glottal stop each time. And also, instead of right, it's right foot. So right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. So she's being very sarcastic, which fits with the accent, really. So do you want to say that after me? Right foot, left foot. Okay. And then the sort of slogan of the whole programme, really, the idea that winter is coming, but it's not said like that, not by these characters anyway. So they say, winter is coming, winter is coming. So this is the main vowel sound here, coming instead of coming. Winter is coming, winter is coming. Okay, right. And similarly, the same vowel sound again, come on, we've got to go. So not come on, but come on. It's much darker and deeper. And this one, she understands. So there's not really a D there. There should be a D in the spelling. So that's why I've put a little apostrophe to show it's not a possessive apostrophe S. It's just DS. There's a D missing. So she understands. She understands. Not she understands, but she understands. So do you want to say that after me? She understands. So no D sound at the end. Okay. And then, they have Ygritte has a conversation with another character, and they're talking about what they feel about other people. So you love him, love, not love. You love him would be in the South, but you love him, and the H is missing. Often in the North, the letter H at the beginning of a word is missing as well. So you love him, you love him. And he this is a missing H again, he loves you, he loves you, he loves you. And so this is where the word you at the end of a line becomes just you. He loves you, he loves you. Would you like to say that after me? He loves you. Okay. And then this is a really good one because the whole programme is about the ownership of land and castles and fighting people for ownership. So they're off to fight to get some land back that they've lost in the past, apparently. So I think Ygritte says this. So she doesn't say, after we've taken our land back. That's much too civilised and modern. If you've seen Downton Abbey with an actress like Maggie Smith, as a very aristocratic lady, she would say, after we've taken our land back, but that would not work, I don't think, in Game of Thrones. It's much deeper and more down to earth. So, after we've taken our land back. So this we've is more like with, after with, and then instead of taken, it's more like taken, after we've taken our land back. So the big ah sound for the land back. So after rather than after. A lot of southern people say after. I don't, because I'm from further north and I have never changed that in my accent. But a lot of southern people say after. Not everybody though. So after, after we've taken our land back. Okay. So, I hope that's been interesting for you, whether you're a Game of Thrones fan or not. I hope it's given you some insight into how actors, you know, can sometimes change their accents to fit a particular character and a particular period in history, or for a fantasy series like that. So I hope it's been useful and fun. So do go to the website engvid.com, where there's a quiz for you to do to test your knowledge of this subject. And I hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.